Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this episode today, as you can see by the screen, it's NFL predictions time. Going to talk a little bit of the roster mania stuff, and then pretty much do our yearly NFL episode. We weren't able to get Kyle on this time. It was probably my fault. I was way too slow in communicating it to him, and just busy schedules. So maybe we'll do like a mid-season update or something and see how it's going. Check it on him, or maybe we'll get him on for like when the new COD drops or something. We'll get him on eventually here, but it was probably my fault, poor planning on my end. But if you guys enjoy this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. Brock, we're gonna do NFL predictions today. Your Falcons took an L. Kirk Cousins looked rough in week 1. We'll get into NFL stuff in a little bit. We're gonna start with some COD. So we have, really not much roster mania stuff going on. Like there's like a little rumblings here and there, but honestly, like not a lot has happened. Like last week with the holiday weekend, both of us were really busy. We were getting home late. We are like, could maybe record like a late Monday episode, but it was like, both home late. There's not a lot going on. The NFL episode didn't work out with Kyle. Let's just chill. Let's just after week 1, a little bit weird. I mean, we've got to see some of the teams play, so we'll do the NFL preview post week 1 results. Everybody except for the Jets and Niners has completed their first games. Gonna do those, but I don't know. Roster mania really hasn't been a ton. I guess let's start off with Black Ops 6 beta thoughts and then jump into roster mania. I was able to play the Black Ops 6 beta a bit, like for like an hour on the first day before I went out to a bachelor party, and then I was able to play a bit in the open weekend, just like a little bit here and there. Overall, I thought I really enjoyed the movement. Like some people were bashing it, some people loved it. It doesn't seem like there was too much in between discourse on it. People were really loving it or hating it. I really thought it was fun. It's something new. It's something unique. It adds a lot of skill gap movement. Just, I don't know. I like CODs with advanced movement. I loved all the jetpack games. I liked Black Ops 4 with all the kind of extra movement. It wasn't technically like advanced movement, but certainly had a skill gap with the movement you could do. I like those games. I enjoy those games. So to me, Omni movement, super, super fun. The big negative for me overall, I didn't think the maps were that great, which is concerning because we did get to play like 4 or 5 of them. And they weren't like the absolute worst maps I've ever played, but they weren't great. I do still have hopes for Treyarch to deliver us some good maps, but a little bit concerning there.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't really like the map with the stairs and the bottom outlook, the pool area and stuff.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. Like, I don't feel like I played like any of like the worst maps I've ever played. Like, I know what you're talking about. It's like, it's got like a little in-ground pool and like the stairs and like that map. I don't think is like the worst map I've ever played, but it's not very good.
Yeah.
Which is concerning because like you would like to see some really good maps in the beta. Since we played like 4 or 5 of them, you'd like to see at least one where you're like, man, that's a really good map. But there wasn't a single map that I played that I was like, that's a really good map. Like that's going to be amazing and competitive.
Yeah. It was all just kind of like, they're playable, and I did like how the movement worked and all the Omni movement. Kind of weird to get used to when I first played, but we got it.
It's like something a little weird too, because like you do like random chows where like somebody's like around the corner or something, and like you turn to like sprint forward, then you like turn like slide turn to like try to like slide chow them or something, and like get that angle. And now it's like it's hard to get used to. Like you actually can like kind of round the corner in a way because like you can like slide sideways or backwards to like chow them. So like I feel like a lot of like things like that are going to get better and better, and you're gonna be able to make cooler plays as you get used to it. Because like I kind of forget like a lot of times like if somebody's shooting me, I want to get to a corner, I like turn to run to the corner, but actually I can like sprint sideways to the corner and keep my gun up to get a couple shots in like into them to help my teammate instead of just like trying to play my life and not shooting back. Like if I know I'm gonna die anyways, I can like kind of just like side strafe it, like sideways sprint, maybe get 2 bullets into him to help my teammate in that gunfight or something. So it's definitely interesting. And like dude, some of the skill gap we're gonna see like when the pros first start playing, like some of the clips I know, like saw some like crazy clips and stuff from pros in the beta, but like imagine like when we start seeing like the first like pro matches or 8s or scrims and all that, like we're gonna see some crazy stuff from guys like Shotzzy and Hydra, just like the movement combined with the gun. Like we're gonna see some wild stuff.
Yeah, it's only gonna get better and better from here on out.
Yeah, I think it's gonna make for some just stupid plays. Like we're gonna see some crazy cool plays in the CDL this year, I think, because of the crazy movement.
And I would bet see more turn on kills this year.
Oh yeah, and like it's just so interesting because like I saw like you didn't play Halo as much, but like a ninja. Do you know what a ninja in Halo is?
I do not. I think I do, but I don't.
It's like when you like, I might not explain it that well, but it's like when you like go around a corner like you go around a corner and the person like is trying to chase you through the door or something, you like hide around the doorway and then like you like jump backwards over their head and like hit them in the back with the melee, because like in Halo it's a one-shot melee to the back.
Okay, yeah.
It's like
I know you're talking about.
I like kind of almost saw Shotzi like do that in a way to somebody, because he like ran through a doorway, then instantly like slid backwards and like slid past them as they were running in the doorway and shot him in the back. And it was like he almost like ninja'd somebody in Halo, and like I think we're gonna see a lot of stuff like that where you're just like crazy like backward slides and like just crazy sideways slides into like a backward slide into like a ledge boost. You're gonna see some crazy plays.
Yep, I'm all for it. I will say I did see myself trying to do the side like jump aiming with your gun way too much.
Yeah, like dolphin dive shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you want to like see if you can get a kill. It's a little bit weird how like your gun goes like diagonal during it.
Yeah, it's a little weird because I never played like what Rainbow Six has that.
Yeah.
And stuff. So it's a little weird, but get used to it.
I mean, it also was like the backwards like diving and all the diving stuff, like that stuff was very fun. The slide cancel felt really good, which I like because like I said, I like the advanced movement type thing, but also like the like slide into a drop shot, like that felt kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like you would just be like sliding and get kind of a long slide and then just like fall straight into a drop shot, and it was like that felt like it could be really good. Like that seems like a Shotzzy type thing, or like I mean, Pred.
Yep.
He likes to lay down.
Yeah, definitely. Just can't wait for the full game to come out and just go from there.
Yeah, and in the full game, I don't know if we talked about this last week or not, but like I know I tweeted about it when it came up, or when we talked about it 2 weeks ago. But ranked play is apparently coming the earliest it's ever been out. Did you see that?
I saw that and I'm like, delayed ?
Yeah, that's kind of what I tweeted. I was like, I'm super excited for this news. I am not going to be like, oh my god, like I'm not going to like rejoice and be like, we're saved, Treyarch, thank you so much, because like you and I have both played COD for long enough, and especially with like ranked play drops, like we've played long enough to know that we've heard like, oh, it's coming at this time, and it gets delayed pretty often, like a lot more often than it should. It gets delayed, so it's like, yes, they have the intentions to roll it out during season 1. They say it's the earliest they're ever going to roll it out. That's awesome. I'm really glad they have that ambition. I love it, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to put my faith into them. Like, if I'm going to put my faith in anyone, it is Treyarch, to be fair. They are the one I'm going to trust, but like until I actually see ranked plays live and I can click on it and search and find a match, I'm not going to believe it's going live in season 1, because that's how scarred. It's like a toxic person. Like, they tell you a million things and like
you already know.
You know that they've failed you so many times. You can just like have to get yourself to not believe it, because I mean, like, let's be honest, Activision is like abusing all of its players for how many years now, just telling us one thing and giving us the other.
Yeah.
So we're excited if it's true.
Yep.
Excited if it's true, but we'll have to see it to believe it. In terms of roster stuff, Brock, so I mean, there's been like a little bit of rumors and like rumblings of like who people are talking to, and like, so I guess we'll mention those, and it probably just comes as a shift to the top 4. So Sib and Envoy are potentially heading to Thieves, it sounds like. We have like the Ultra owner or like COO or whoever it is like saying, we are keeping all options on the table, and all options means all. So he seems to like not be ruling out like returning to the team. It seems like we've seen some clips of like Scrap potentially hinting that the team can't, like, Ultra can't afford to pay the team.
Yeah.
So we're maybe looking at like a situation where they're going to have to get rid of at least one, if not multiple players, because they don't want to take a pay cut or something, and they can't afford the team. So maybe they're selling them off. But I guess according to like what their owner is saying, I guess there's a world where like Ultra just keeps everyone. He could also be doing that as a leverage play to be like, we will keep them all if you don't give us a good enough offer.
Yep.
Like trying to just leverage it. But if we're going under the assumption that these rumors are true and they're leaving, it sounds like Sib and Envoy potentially to Thieves. Kremp and Nasty took LAT out of their bio. This is something that you and I feel like mentioned pretty early on in the offseason. We were like, LAT, if they stick, it's not the end of the world, because like they were good. But I think you can't be complacent with the fact that you had a couple of good events to end the year, because like there are clear upgrades for Kremp and Nasty out there. Like I think Joe and Ghosty are franchise type players, especially when you're not paying like the max amount of money. So I think you should go get 2 players that could potentially be seen as upgrades. And to me, these are 2 clear upgrades.
Yep.
Envoy is way more consistent than Kremp, brings some leadership, some more winning mentality. And Sib is a clear upgrade over Nasty. As much as I think Nasty and Kremp are both solid players and should end up on a team somewhere. Especially Nasty, higher on Nasty than I am on Kremp, but Sib is a clear upgrade. I mean, towards the end of the year, Sib was one of the best players for the past few events. I mean, at Champs, he was like arguably the best player in the finals. In my opinion, he probably would have won the finals MVP. I mean, unless they're giving it out for all of Champs, we've had that discussion. But if there was a finals MVP in New York would have won at Champs, I think to the maps that we saw, Sib could have had a very, very good argument to be finals MVP, even over Hydra on his team.
Mm-hmm. Sib was just putting up the numbers, damage, literally everything.
Yeah,
at Champs.
Yeah, and he seemed to be playing the game like a lot more correctly than that was a knock on Sib from previous teams. Is maybe he just was playing for a lot of kills and like that was his role on Seattle. But like it seems like he kind of figured out more how to play within team structure. And he talked about that a lot this year, like how he really learned a lot of COD, with Lamar, and then this year and playing with this team.
Mm-hmm. And if that is a roster, that's it's great for the Thieves because I don't think they thought Sib would be potentially leaving New York.
Definitely not. They definitely, I'm sure they thought like, maybe we can get upgrades for these two players, but I don't think they ever thought that Sib would be one of the players that's on the table.
Yeah.
I think in like a dream world for them, like Optic would have bottomed out at Champs and Kenny would have been available for them to try to bring back.
Yep.
To LAT, I think that would have been like a dream world that they would have thought of, but they would have never imagined a world also where like, Sib would have came that way because I think they expected New York to stick, but maybe we should know because New York wasn't sticking last year after winning Champs. So I don't know why we would have thought they would have stuck, in hindsight, would have stuck with their 4. I honestly think they would have stuck with their 4 if it wasn't, again, a situation where, the other rumor, it sounds like Scrap is sounding more and more likely to go to C9. Yes. So in that case, I guess it makes sense that you drop Sib, although I still think you just talent stack to try to compete with New York or to compete with Optic and FaZe. I think Skies was the player to drop.
Yeah.
I think you have Scrap, Sib, Hydra, and Kiz. Kiz kind of like your role player at the sub, but like Scrap and Hydra, I mean, that's the most talented duo in the league, probably like right up there.
Mm-hmm. And then you have just Sib also shooting.
Yeah. I mean, I get why they want, I get why they want Skies in there. I do see the vision is probably, they want somebody to do more of the dirty work, be more of a role player for them. But I think I would have kept Sib. I like Sib ceiling a lot more than Skies. I feel like Sib can develop into a Skies type role, which is more gun skill.
Yeah. Sib could definitely turn into like the Dazzy role we saw this year.
Yeah. Just like playing more of that like role player type of a role, but like with the supreme talent to take over if he has to.
Yeah,
like,
with
Skies doesn't necessarily have that like extreme takeover.
Yeah, with sure he's playing a certain role, so he's not pumped the stats, but he can definitely shoot when need be.
Yeah, absolutely. So that makes sense as to why like these players would end up going to Thieves. And honestly, I think unless you disagree, I feel like it's pretty safe to say that like unless something else crazy happens, that probably shifts the top 4 just like a little bit around. Like obviously we expect Optic and FaZe to remain in the top 4, no doubt about that.
Yep.
If even with Sib leaving New York, if they're replacing him with Scrap, we definitely expect that team to also be somewhere in the top 4. Mm-hmm. And then I would say this move, I mean, Ultra is losing Scrap and Envoy, so even if they keep Insight and CleanX, sounds like they're going to get rid of Insight as well. Maybe they just keep CleanX. Maybe he goes somewhere else too. I do think, interestingly enough, though, there's a world where like this actually gives us like 5 really good teams and really weakens the rest of the league. Because like maybe there's a world where like CleanX goes to join like Seattle, and you have like Abuza. You add a really good flex. You have CleanX. You have O4. Like that team could be like a really formidable 5th team.
Mm-hmm.
If they're able to find a good AR to pair with Abuza, like that team has a lot of talent. If they're able to get somebody like CleanX onto that Seattle roster, or maybe like 5 or 4 people like team up on another team. But I think that Optic and FaZe and obviously C9 stay in the top 4. Ultra, if they're losing Scrap and Envoy and probably Insight, they definitely fall out of the top 4. But I think this Thieves team takes their spot. I mean, Ghosty and Sib is an extremely good AR duo that can shoot with any duo in the league, and then Envoy and Joe is also a very formidable sub duo. I think maybe the ceiling on the sub duo is capped a little bit, and that could hold them back from like cracking into the top 3. Maybe they're kind of on the outside looking in as like the 4th best team, but I do think they'll be a really good team, pretty consistently finding themselves in the top 4 on Sundays with that roster.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I definitely like that roster if it is Envoy and Sib.
I think they can play with some good pace too. Like Joe can play fast, Envoy can speed it up when he needs to, and I think Sib and Ghosty could really set pace. Like I think they could be a very fast-paced, good hardpoint team.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
think they can figure it out in search too.
Yeah. I'm sure the coaching staff, if they could do it with this team this year, they can figure it out with Sib and Envoy.
Absolutely. They're keeping their two best players from last year and adding two extremely good players that have a winning pedigree. I mean, Sib has won multiple events. He just went to a champs finals. Envoy obviously won numerous events as well. He's won champs. Ghosty's been to a number of finals, actually, surprisingly, because he went to a bunch with Optic, went to the finals this year. And, him and Joe are more of the inexperienced players, but they're not like rookies or anything with no experience by any means.
Yep. Agreed.
All right, Brock, let's jump into NFL stuff.
Let's do it.
Obviously, if you guys are watching this, we do have a decent amount of UK listeners. You might not be interested in the NFL. It's just something we do for fun. So if you don't love the NFL, feel free to tune out. We're just going to, try to quickly go through our predictions, divisions. It's a little interesting because we have the bias of being able to look through a week one lens. Like we have seen some stuff like where we did last year. It was just a blind thing before the season. This time we do have a little bit of a cheat code because we know we have some injury news for things that happened week one, but I'm going to go through, I'm going to place like my predictions for the division and then like kind of compare it, like see if there's anything you'd switch around. We'll just keep mine on the board, but then we'll have you like say if you agree, if you switch anything around. So We're starting in the AFC, Brock. Fortunately, it's going to be a little bit before we get to your Falcons in the NFC South.
What a terrible game yesterday.
But in the AFC North, Brock, maybe the most competitive division. I mean, you have three teams that made the playoffs last year in the Steelers, Ravens, and Browns. And then the Bengals, you expect, I mean, the Bengals looked rough yesterday losing to the Patriots, but you expect the Bengals to be a really good team with Joe Burrow back. I mean, since Burrow came back from injury his rookie year, the Bengals have been right in the mix. I mean, they went to a Super Bowl. They've been right in the mix in the AFC Championship another time. Like they've been right in the mix to go to the Super Bowl or be a very good team every year. So you expect them to step up?
Yeah, I feel like I feel like the Bengals, they always start slow and then they dig themselves in a hole.
Yeah, like I mean, they're not the slowest starting team because the Colts are 0-10-1 in their last 11 week ones. But the Bengals, I think I saw like since they've gotten Burrow, they're like 1-6 week one. So yeah, not ideal to start in pretty much an 0-1 hole every year, but I expect them to bounce back. It is rough to lose to the Patriots though. I mean, the Patriots look to be on paper one of the worst teams in the league this year.
Yeah, that was a tough watch, to be honest.
Yeah, it was rough. I didn't really get to see too much of the week one games because I was at the Colts game in Indy.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get to see a ton of week one stuff just because obviously like all the first kickoff games at noon or 1, depending on whatever time zone you're in, I was in Indy watching that close game. So there wasn't much. I got to see like a couple random highlights. I like saw the Saints were routing the Panthers when they showed some highlights on the Jumbotron and stuff. Yep. They were showing like Will Levis throwing his flip pick 6 and the whole stadium celebrated because we hate the Titans.
Must have been a great time.
That was funny. Okay, AFC North though, even though they lost week 1, I still think they're the best team in there, and they seem super consistent in the regular season. I'm going to say the Ravens are going to finish first in the AFC North. I still think like despite losing week 1, they played the champs tight. The Chiefs and like the Ravens always, as long as Lamar's healthy, obviously Lamar's health is a big question. If he gets hurt, just like any of these like star quarterbacks, if any of them get hurt, it changes everything. But if Lamar's healthy, this team usually does very well in the regular season. Like they find a way to win 10, 11 plus games.
Mm-hmm.
If Lamar's healthy, I still think they're going to win the division. I think the Bengals are going to bounce back. I'm going to put them in second. I am worried, obviously, like maybe Burrow, maybe Chase, holding out will affect him. T. Higgins has his hamstring injury. People are saying maybe he's not even going to play in week 2. So that's a little scary. I'm going to just go out and say the Bengals are going to figure it out, get second. Putting the Steelers in third. They always find a way to win 9 games with Tomlin. They're 500 or better. And I'm going to put the Browns in last. We had another lawsuit come out about Deshaun Watson today. That dude's a piece of shit. That dude is a piece of shit. He also sucks at football. So that's like, he's getting instant karma. Although, unfortunately, he got his $230 million guarantee. But that might be the worst contract in sports history, at least for the sports that I watch and know of, because
it is most definitely the worst.
I mean, he's played like no games for them, and in the games he's played, he's terrible.
Yep.
Like, he's a terrible quarterback, terrible person. I feel no sympathy. The only sympathy I feel is for Browns fans. They traded away Baker. Baker had a bad season the season before they traded him away, but at least they love Baker. He won him a playoff game, which doesn't happen in Cleveland very often. And then they just traded him away for just this piece of shit off the field, and he sucks on the field. So,
yep,
I'm glad to see Deshaun Watson failing, but not Browns fans. I'm not glad to see your team failing. But I don't know. The roster around Deshaun Watson is actually pretty good, though. Like every team in this division is pretty good on paper.
Yeah.
Like, the Steelers have a question with the quarterback room, but like the Bengals and Ravens are good on paper. The Browns roster around Deshaun Watson is pretty good on paper. It's just, I don't know. When you have a quarterback playing that bad, it's hard to win games. Although, Brock, they do have a good backup quarterback that you love.
They do have a good backup. He'll chuck the ball pretty accurately down the field for both teams.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think I'd rather have Jameis as my quarterback than Deshaun Watson, no doubt.
Yep, I would definitely rather have Jameis.
Yeah, I mean, that might be the best division in football, or at least going into the year on paper, that definitely is one of them. Because I guess if you look at all the other divisions, I don't know. I think it's the only division where you can say all four teams, like you can really make predictions, at least going into the year. Obviously, we saw week 1 and how bad Deshaun Watson looked, but like going into the year, I think you could definitely say it was realistic where like there's a world where you could see any of the 4 teams making the playoffs for sure. I don't know if there's another division like that.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that, the standings on that though, or you think someone's flipping around?
I think the Bengals have a tough year, but they're still. I think I flipped the Steelers and Bengals, so the Steelers
That's
be
fair.
second and the Bengals be third.
That's fair. I mean, the Steelers get the week 1 win, the Bengals lose. I definitely can get behind that because the T. Higgins injury, Jamar Chase holding out and like really not practicing all off season. They lose Joe Mixon, your favorite player.
He sucks.
Yeah, I mean, he tore up the Colts this week, so I can't really say much.
It was a fluke.
But yeah, I could see the Steelers finishing ahead of the Bengals. Like that one surprised me. I'm just gonna rely on Burrow getting back on track. Maybe he's a little rusty from the injury last year and missing some time. But yeah, I definitely think that the Steelers could easily finish in second. I do feel pretty confident about the Ravens winning this division if healthy, though.
Yeah, the Ravens. They look pretty good, and they have Derrick Henry as a running back now.
Yeah. Moving on to the AFC South, my division, Brock. We saw the Texans and Colts. I was at that game. Anthony Richardson made some unbelievable plays. Like I think everybody in the stadium's jaw hit the floor when he just launched that ball 65 yards in the air off his back foot as he was like slipping.
Alec Pierce.
Yeah, perfect throw to Alec Pierce. I was like, where I was sitting, I was like in line with him when he made that throw. So like we saw it travel, like everybody, like when a deep ball goes up, everybody stands up as they're watching it, and like you could see Alec Pierce had his guy beat, but like since he threw it from so far, everybody's like, well, it's going to be a jump ball. Like,
yeah,
it's so high, it's going to be a jump ball. Like Alec Pierce is almost at the end zone, and then you watch it and he runs under it, and he just launched it off his back foot like 65, 70 yards in the air, which like is ridiculous. Like there's very few quarterbacks in the entire league that can make that throw because not a lot of them have the arm strength. I mean, you're looking at maybe like Josh Allen, maybe Mahomes. Like not many quarterbacks have the arm strength to get that ball off their back foot 65, 70 yards in the air.
That is some arm talent there.
Yeah, and the run play at the end to keep him in the game, trucking over 2 defenders. Not many quarterbacks doing that. Maybe Josh Allen again. Maybe Jalen Hurts. Like there aren't a lot of quarterbacks that are running over people like that.
I would say probably Josh Allen the most after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's about it. I mean, the Colts run defense was absolutely horrible. That was what lost in the game. I mean, Stroud, honestly, like if you look at the box score, it looks like he played pretty well. He had a pick that got called back because the Colts corner toe tapped, Juju Brent's toe tapped, but then apparently like his heel touched out of bounds, which makes no sense. Why do you call it a toe tap if somebody toe taps and you don't say it's a catch?
Yeah.
See, toe tapped and then the back of his heel like just brushed the out of bounds line. So they called that pick back, and then they had another pick that was called back from a holding. So Stroud lucked out by not throwing 1 or maybe 2 picks. And he was kind of taking what was given to him. He had some incredible plays though, scrambling out of the pocket and like extending plays and on like 3rd and longs. And obviously the throw he made at the end of Nico Collins was like, I was like perfect from everybody. Nico Collins made an incredible catch. Stroud made an incredible throw, and even Jalen Jones, the corner that was covering him, tipped the ball, and Nico still caught it on the sideline.
Yeah.
I think this is the Texans division to lose. I still do think they probably have the best roster. Stroud's probably the best quarterback in the division. So I'm going to say the Texans are 1. I think the Colts are finishing 2. Got the Jags 3rd, and I've got the Titans 4th. I think there's a world where 3 playoff teams come out of this division, as weird as it sounds. Like I think some of the other divisions in the AFC could beat up on each other. I can see last year, the Jags and Colts both won 9 games. Texans won 10. There were 3 teams above 500 in the division. I think the Titans ended up around like 6 or 7 wins or something. But I think the standings are going to end up like this. I think it's going to be Texans, Colts, Jags, Titans. I think AR is going to continue to improve. I mean, he accounted for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns yesterday, and it was only his 5th game in the NFL. He looked pretty good. But I think Texans, their division to lose. I'm going Texans, Colts, Jags, Titans. I think the Jags going to be pretty good this year too. I think this division is going to surprise people.
I agree with you.
You have the same exact standings?
Yeah, I do think Titans just a little bit above the Colts and Jags, I think they'll get like 9 wins.
Yeah, I think the Jags and Colts are really interchangeable to me. Mm-hmm. I can see like either of them winning like 7 games, but I can also see either of them winning like 10 to 11. Like there's a wide range.
Yeah.
I can see them, struggling but having flashes because like both teams are playoff caliber teams in my opinion. It's just will they live up to that because the Colts have a young quarterback? Will they be consistent enough? And the Jags, it's like they like to choke.
Yeah, they choked
will
yesterday.
Will they be able to get the wins on the board? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and Titans.
Oh my god, it brought me so much joy. They're my least favorite team in the NFL. That brought me so much joy watching Will Levis go full Carson Wentz and just launch the ball for no reason. And then just the shot of him on the ground is hilarious.
That's the best part. Him on the ground is holding his helmet.
Yeah, I hate the Titans. So that just made me so happy when I saw that after the game.
Yep.
But shout out to AR. I wanted the Colts to draft AR for like 2 years in college because I was just like, this dude is so fast, so athletic, has a rocket arm. And I was just like, just give me him. Even if he ends up sucking, at least the talent's crazy. Like, I will always say I'd rather, if you're drafting a quarterback, I'd always rather go for the home run than like getting a game manager that's safe.
Yep.
If you're drafting a quarterback, especially because like where the Colts are at, I mean, they're in a conference where they have Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, CJ Stroud, even guys like Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen. I mean, who else is in the AFC? Aaron Rodgers is in the AFC right now. Justin Herbert, even guys like Tua, who are like towards the bottom of the conference, are still pretty damn good. Like the AFC is maybe the best quarterback conference currently that's like ever existed. So like you're not going to win by drafting a game manager. Like you can take a shot on a guy like Anthony Richardson, who's got unlimited talent. If he doesn't pan out, he doesn't pan out. But at least you're taking a shot on a guy who could have like top 5 talent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then Brock, AFC East, another loaded division. Only reason I say it's like maybe not in the conversation for best division is because the Patriots kind of weigh it down, whereas the AFC North has maybe 4 potential playoff teams. The Patriots probably weigh it down. I do think this one's really tough to predict, though, because I really like the Bills a lot. I think Josh Allen is just so good.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to predict.
Dolphins are always really good in the regular season, especially early on. They seem to be really good, and they kind of tail off towards the end of the year. Like that's like the story since they've had Mike McDaniel. The Jets, like once again on paper, roster looks amazing, but like, will Aaron Rodgers stay healthy? Will they be good with Aaron Rodgers? Like we haven't even seen him play with Rodgers yet. Will there be some rust there that maybe causes them to not start as hot? I think that might be the case with the Jets. I'm going to say the Bills are going to win the division, putting the Dolphins in second, Jets in third, Patriots in fourth. Honestly, you can convince me to move that top 3 anywhere, and I wouldn't like hate it. I think the Patriots are going to be in last, and the top 3, I honestly can see any of them winning the division. I just think Josh Allen is by far the best quarterback that's in that division currently. So I'm saying they're going to finish first, Dolphins second. I think the Jets maybe start a little rusty, finish third, Patriots fourth. But once again, even if you told me the Jets are going to win the division, I'm not going to say that's crazy.
Yeah. I think the Dolphins win the division.
Think so? They ended up, what did they lose it last? They lost it to the Bills in the last week of last season, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. The Bills beat them in the last week to take the division.
Mm-hmm. Then Dolphins win. They have all the firepower offense, and their defense is, serviceable.
Yeah.
And I think the Jets do take second place at the very end of the season over the Bills. And the Bill.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do think the Jets will take second place over the Bills towards the end of the season, and the Bills third and the Patriots fourth.
That's like what's crazy to this division to me, though, is like you took the team that I said was going to be in first, you put them in third, and it's not even like crazy to me because that's how competitive those 3 teams are. Like, even though I think the Bills are going to win the division, I wouldn't be shocked if they finished third. Yeah. The only thing that would shock me in this division is if the Patriots aren't in fourth. That'd be the only thing that would shock me.
Yeah, they better be in fourth. Like, we don't want to see them in the playoffs.
To me, the only way the Patriots are not in fourth in this division is if like crazy injuries hit one of these other teams.
Yeah.
Like the quarterback on the other teams goes down and like just crazy injuries happen or like something really implodes. Like I don't hate that. Like I could see the Bills finishing third, even though I have them winning. Like I'm not shocked. If you tell me they finished third with, I would be shocked if they finished third with like 7 wins or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like third with 9 or 10 wins wouldn't shock me. But yeah, I mean the big question in Buffalo is the receivers. Like obviously they lost Stephon Diggs. They have rookie Keon Coleman. They got like Khalil Shakir. They lost Gabe Davis as well. So like it's really the receivers. I like Dalton Kincaid a lot, but then I didn't really see too much of that first game because, like I said, I mean they played at the same time as the Colts, and I remember seeing like the Cardinals were up like 10-0 or 17-0 or something. And I was like, what the hell is going on there? And then obviously the Bills ended up coming back and winning. But I know the Cardinals had a big lead early.
Yeah, it was pretty much Josh Allen is scoring and doing everything.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what it's been for a lot of his career.
Yeah, and I just saw some of the plays where he's running, he's taking all those hits, and if I'm a Bills fan, I don't know if he won't want to take all those hits running and stuff.
Yeah, trust me, I'm sitting here watching AR, and every time I literally felt like I was like a dad in the stands, like watching my kid. Every time I was like, literally before the game, I'm just thinking in my head, just please let him get out of this game healthy. Like he's so talented. I just want to see him play a healthy season. I'm just sitting there. Every time he gets hit, I feel like I'm literally his dad in the stands. I'm like, oh my god, please get up, please get up. And he was just bouncing back up after every hit and just talking trash. And I was like, I love this.
Yep.
He also going back to that game, how the hell was there not a flag? Did you see the play where the dude body slammed him to the ground?
I don't think I saw that one.
The Texans defender had a sack, had him wrapped up. They were blowing the play dead. He picked him up, twisted him like full 180, body slammed him head first into the ground. His helmet flew off. The ref was like 2 feet away staring at it, didn't throw a flag for roughing the passer. It's like going viral on Twitter right now. They're basically saying he's getting the Cam Newton treatment where he's so big that they just like don't think these hits matter.
Yeah.
And then there was another play where they like hit him in the head as he was going to the sideline. It was all like the last 2 plays too were, oh my god, what's his name? Jimmy Ward, the bum safety from the Niners. There's another play where AR was like getting tackled and going down, and he comes flying across, launches his head, and he missed, thankfully, but he was trying to headhunt.
Yeah.
Like, he dove across the air trying to take out AR in the head. And like if he would have connected on that one where he missed, he would have been concussed. He might have been knocked out. Like he like full speed ran across the field like he was running a crossing route and just launched himself.
Jeez.
I was like, they're like, that dude that body slammed AR, if that was Mahomes, he's going to federal prison. I saw that tweet and I was like, that's actually true. If that was Mahomes, they were like killing that guy in the field.
Yep.
Like they were arresting him on the spot. All right, Brock, then our last AFC conference, AFC West. I mean, this one seems like it should be pretty straightforward, right? Like this is the Chiefs division to lose. I'd be shocked if they lose it. I'm gonna say they're gonna finish it first. I like the Chargers to finish second. I love Justin Herbert. That's like, I mean, you know that. I mean, I guess I was gonna say that's pretty well known, but I mean, like people that listen to this, they probably don't know that because they don't see us or hear us talk football. But I love Justin Herbert. He's like one of my favorite quarterbacks. I think he's so good. I just don't care about the other 2 teams. I think the Raiders will find a way, like they always do, to like scratch out 7 wins or something. And then I got the Broncos in last. I got Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, Broncos.
I am in agreement there.
I think the Chargers have a chance to sneak into the playoffs as like a last seed, maybe. Harbaugh always wins, and I still think, even though that team, their receivers suck, but Herbert's so good.
And shout out J.K. Dobbins for having a good game.
Yeah. Shout out to
He's
J.K.
not limping.
Dobbins, Brock, your boy. I saw like runs of him just getting gassed and just like stopping running, and I was like, oh my god, it reminds me of when he came back from that knee injury. But yeah, shout out to J.K. Dobbins because that dude has had like every major injury in the book, and I can't even imagine like the mental fortitude it takes to come back from that. That's got to be like so exhausting.
Yeah, it's like 4 years in a row, and he's had injuries just pile up.
They're not little injuries either. They're like Achilles, ACL. They're like brutal injuries. Yeah,
it's just I don't know. So I'm surprised he's even like still playing and doing like well first week. To be honest,
I'm shocked. Like if that was me, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I have the mental strength to continue coming back from all those injuries. I might just give up.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, but
yeah. All right, Brock. NFC North, the division where the team, the state we reside in, they have their team here, the Green Bay Packers. I'll be in Lambeau next week too. I mean, my team's coming to my home state. I pretty much have to go to the game. I got tickets for my birthday this summer. So I'm going to the Packers Colts game this week. The Jordan Love injury obviously gives us a little bit more insight. I mean, Matt LaFleur is like saying like, oh, he might play this week or something. Like, I'm crazy like that. So I mean, I hope that's not the case for the Colts' sake. Like, I want him to be healthy, but maybe sit out 1 week so we can play Malik Willis. I think regardless, I still was picking the Lions to win this division. I think they're the best team in the division.
Yep, I agree there.
It's hard though. Like, I thought the Vikings were going to be the worst. They look good this week, but once again, I don't want to get too hyped up because they played the Giants. I think the Giants are going to be one of the worst teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Who do you think's going to finish second? Like, if Jordan Love is back in a week or two, I think the Packers still finish second. Caleb Williams didn't look good this week, but the Bears defense is really good, and I do think Caleb's going to pick it up. Like, I think there's a sneaky row where the Bears win like 10 games this year.
I guess I base it off of if Jordan Love's out for like what they say 3 to 6 weeks. If he's out for like 4 to 5 weeks, you're probably not gonna see a lot of wins for the Packers, most likely. And I do think the Bears will pick it up, and their defense played pretty well.
Although,
so
I
guess we'll pick the Bears, maybe.
Yeah, I think in the next 3 weeks, though, the Colts are the hardest team the Packers face. And, like, that may be biased because I'm a Colts fan, but, like, the Colts are not, like, a great team by any means. I think they're a decent team, a solid team, like a potential playoff contender, but they're not, like, an amazing team by any means. But after the Colts, they play the Titans and Vikings. I would certainly say the Colts are better than the Titans and Vikings.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that, like, if Jordan Love is out 3 weeks, let's say the Packers lose to the Colts, go to 0-2, and let's say even if they only are able to beat one of the Titans or Vikings, even if they're 1-3 and Love is coming back and healthy, like if they're 1-3, like I don't see why they couldn't rattle off like a 9-5 finish to the season and win 10 games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
or a 9-4, I guess, and win 10 games. I don't know. I'm gonna say the Packers just because I'm gonna say Love's gonna be back quicker. I'm gonna say the Packers are gonna finish second, Bears third, and Vikings fourth. But I do think if like Love ends up, even though all signs seem to be pointing to the fact that he's going to be back earlier rather than later, but if Love does end up being out for a while, I think he'll probably flip it. I think the Bears will finish in second.
Yeah. I guess I'll go on the fact if Love's out for like 4 to 5 weeks, like a month. I'll go Bears second, Packers third, and Vikings fourth.
So overall, so far we're in pretty good agreement. Like, we're pretty much in agreement with that division. We're in agreement with the AFC West. AFC South, we're in agreement. We have like a little flip in the AFC North, and then like the AFC East is definitely our most different division. But overall, we're pretty in sync. We might split up here, Brock. This is your division.
Oh,
NFC South, probably the worst division in football. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, probably
the worst division. I mean, it definitely was last year. Falcons, high hopes. Kirk Cousins coming in. Although this week looked like there was a little rust there, maybe not fully healthy. Looked like he was scared to plant off that right foot from what I saw. Mobility seemed really limited. Didn't look like the Kirk Cousins, that we were used to seeing when he was playing well in Minnesota at times.
Yeah.
Buccaneers look pretty damn good. Once again, they were playing Commanders, might have one of the worst defenses in the league. I think it's safe to say the Panthers aren't in the race. Probably a 3-horse race between the Bucs, Falcons, and Saints.
The Panthers are so bad that Bryce Young's first throws an interception.
Yeah, it's rough. I feel bad for Bryce Young. He got thrown in. I don't know that he actually is that good, but he got thrown into a terrible situation.
Yeah, I don't think he's that bad, but the team's just so bad.
Dude, they're so bad.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm gonna give you the floor first on this one, though.
I'm gonna be a little biased here. I'm gonna go Falcons pick it up. Kirk Cousins gets rolling, and they do win the division.
If this was before week 1, I would have been in 100% agreement with you. Like, I'd have been like all in, like Falcons are winning. Because I mean, I think you know this, but also like I don't know, like you all have those teams you just kind of like that aren't your team. That like they're not your favorite team or anything, but like I don't know why I've always liked the Falcons.
Yeah,
they're one of the other teams that I just like enjoy watching. I usually kind of just like root for them if I see them on. I think like if this is before week 1, I know 100% because I was picking them. I placed a bet while I was in Indy this weekend, and I did pick the Bucs to win the division. I'll go with you. I'll just throw the Falcons up there just for fun. I think for sure the Bucs are too. I think the Bucs are the other team that like. If I was truly to pick, like gun to my head right now, I probably would pick the Bucs, just because they looked a lot better week 1. I know though, if I was picking before the season, I was going to pick the Falcons, but the way that Kirk Cousins looked really scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
So screw it. I'm going to pick the Bucs to win, Falcons second, but if I do know that is completely influenced by week 1 because I was totally going to pick the Falcons to win this division before that. But I guess I'll say I'm going to have the Bucs winning it, but I want the Falcons to win it. And then I have Saints third, Panthers last.
Yep. So we're just flip flopped first and second, and third and fourth are correct.
Yeah. I really do think though it's more. I think like you have to kind of include the Saints just because they looked okay week one, and the Saints always end up winning like 8+ games.
Yeah.
So like I think
But
you have to include them. But to me, this is more of a 2-horse race. Like I'd be pretty surprised if it wasn't the Falcons or Bucks that won it.
yeah, I mean down the stretch, I don't really trust Derek Carr.
Yeah, I think it's a 2-horse race, like between the Falcons and the Bucks, and I think they could surprise people. Like I think people think like whoever wins this division is just gonna like kind of be like, okay, whatever, they're in the playoffs, they get first rounded. But I do think like the Falcons or Bucks could make noise in the playoffs if they're hot going down the stretch.
Oh, definitely.
Then the NFC East, Brock, a division with a couple good teams at the top, and then some real bad teams in the bottom. I think the Eagles are going to get it done again this year. They absolutely collapsed last year to not win the division. I think they're going to get it done and win the division this year. I got the Cowboys in second. I actually think the Commanders are going to finish in third, and the Giants are going to finish in fourth because I think both those teams are going to be bad this year. But as weird as it is to say, even though he's only played one game, I really think Jaden Daniels is a lot better than Daniel Jones already.
Yeah, there's just Daniel Jones. I feel bad for New York Giants fans. Have root for him to get a win for your team.
It is brutal.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the Cowboys here because they love the regular season.
Yeah, they love, especially with Mike McCarthy. They win a lot of games every year.
They love winning regular season, but not the playoffs. And then I'll have Eagles a close second. Probably comes down to the last couple weeks there, I would say. And then Commanders, say like may have like eight wins, and then Giants have like 4 wins.
Yeah. I think it's a situation like I think like it's going to be like a close. I think both teams in the top. I think you're going to see like Eagles like 11-12 wins, Cowboys 10-11 wins. I think the Commanders get like 5, and the Giants get like 3. I think it's gonna be like 2 good teams in the top, 2 really bad teams in the bottom.
Yeah,
like Giants, I think are like potential like number 1 pick territory. All right, then that leaves us with the NFC West. Kind of an interesting division. Niners obviously have been the best team in it for quite some time. Although you say that, and the Rams are the only one in this division with a recent Super Bowl win. Rams look to be pretty good. They played the Lions tight on Sunday Night Football. The Niners are always good in the Shanahan era for the most part. The Seahawks always end up being scrappy and always find themselves in a playoff race down the stretch.
Yep.
And the Cardinals, I think the Cardinals are actually going to be better than people thought. I mean, they had the early lead against the Bills, who we expect to be pretty good this year. And I don't know. I think overall, like the Cardinals offense, like if Marvin Harrison can play a little better than he did week 1, like Kyler's pretty good. I think overall their offense could be pretty solid. James Conner's okay. Kyler Murray's okay. Trey McBride, they got some good weapons. Like I think the offense could be good. Like I see the Cardinals winning like 6-7+ games. Like I don't think they're going to be terrible for like a team expected to finish in the bottom of their division.
Yeah.
I still have the Niners winning it though. I had the Niners winning it. I have the Seahawks, or not the Seahawks, the Rams in second. I think the Cardinals are going to pull off an upset, finish third. Seahawks, actually, no, I'm going to say the Seahawks finish third and Cardinals fourth. But I do think all 4 teams in this division are going to be tough outs. Like, I don't think you're going to see any team in this division and be like, that's an easy game. Like, even if the Cardinals only end up winning like 4 or 5 games, I think they're going to be a tough team. Like, they're going to play a lot of close games.
Yep.
And the other 3 are always tough. Like, so I got Niners, Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals.
I got Niners. I'm going to go Seahawks. But I do think Seahawks, and then I go Rams, Cardinals, but I do think the Seahawks and Rams are basically a toss-up for how like first, second, or third, I mean.
Yeah, there's a world where I think there is a world where both these teams, like 3 teams from this division, make the playoffs. I think there's a world where both the Rams and the Seahawks make it. Especially because like in the rest of the NFC, like I don't really see maybe the Bears and Packers if Love's back early and the Bears keep playing well. Maybe they both make the playoffs. In the NFC South, it's hard to see more than 2 teams making it. NFC East, I can't see more than 2 teams making it. So like, there has to be wildcard teams coming from somewhere. And if I only really trust 2 teams in the North, maybe 3, 2 teams in the South, 2 teams in the East, and the Niners and Rams for sure in the West. So like the wildcard teams have to come from somewhere in the NFC. I mean, the AFC's loaded, but they have to come from somewhere in the NFC.
Yeah, most definitely.
Because I mean, in the NFC side, I see like 3, 5, 7, maybe 10 teams that I look at and I'm like, okay, like you guys having playoff hopes is realistic. 10 out of the 16 teams for me, at least. In the AFC, I think I see 4, 7, 10, 12 probably out of the 16. I'd say like everybody besides like the Titans, Patriots, Broncos, Raiders, I see like realistic playoff hopes for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. So we're pretty similar. A couple changes here and there, but honestly, kind of shocking how similar we had our predictions. Like they're pretty close.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just not too hard to. I mean, for what I see on paper, but I guess see how they do actually playing.
Yeah. All right. So then for that, I mean, I guess we have our division winners. Who are your wild card teams in each conference? So I guess starting since we did them last in the NFC. I mean, I have the Lions, Buccaneers, Eagles, and Niners winning the divisions. I think for me, I see my wild card teams then, I guess, with these standings. I think I am going to go 3 different divisions. I think I'm going to go Packers, Cowboys, and Rams. The teams that are right on the edge that I left out, I could see where we're like Bears, Falcons, Seahawks. Those are my other 3 teams I'm looking at. I'm going to say it's Rams, Cowboys, and Packers, though. But I really want to put the Falcons or Seahawks in there. But those are who I'm going to say for now. Those are my 3 NFC wildcards.
Okay. For some reason, I'm looking at the NFC West. The Rams just seem like a wild card team to me.
Yeah. Then you have to have the Seahawks if you have them finishing ahead of them.
Yeah. I think I'll more so put Seahawks than
So
the
you
Rams.
got Seahawks, Rams, one other one.
Man. Let's go with the Bears.
Like the Bears. So no Bucks in the playoffs for you then?
No Bucks. The Bears pull a wild card with Caleb Williams.
Fun to see.
Season.
It'd be fun to see. Then in the AFC, do we have the same? We have the same. No, we didn't. You have the Dolphins in the East, and I have the Bills. But we have the other 3 the same: Ravens, Texans, Chiefs.
Yep.
I think I'm gonna say my wild card teams are Dolphins. Have to pick the Colts. I'm really torn because Bengals, Steelers, Jags, Jets, Chargers. I'm considering all of them.
Yeah.
I don't think the Jags are going to do it. I love the Chargers, but I think it's hard to pick them because I don't think the roster is really that good around Herbert, especially on offense. As much as I love them, I'm going to say no to them. It comes down to Bengals or Jets. I just have a feeling the Bengals are going to be okay. Like the Jets are really good. Like it pains me to say they're not going to make the playoffs. Like on paper, the roster is really good. I'm going to say Colts, Dolphins, Bengals is my wildcard teams.
Okay. I'm gonna go Bills since I put them 3rd for me.
Means you have to go Jets then, right? Because you had Jets 2nd.
Yeah. Jets. I'll go Colts. I'll go Colts with you.
Yeah, the AFC is tough because, like, regardless of what you do, you're leaving out good teams.
Yeah,
like you're
leaving
leaving
out.
Pick. I mean, you're leaving out like Bills, Dolphins, Jets. Like one of them is probably getting left out. You're leaving out either the Colts or Jags, or maybe both. You're leaving out either the Bengals or Steelers, most likely. Like you're leaving, no matter how you predict in the AFC, you're leaving out teams that are definitely like playoff caliber teams. You're leaving them out. Yeah, the AFC is definitely better than the NFC, especially like quarterback wise. It's insane.
Just so stacked.
Like the NFC, like if you look in the NFC North, like if you go like best quarterback by division, like it's probably like Jordan Love in the NFC North, and not much competition. In the NFC South, it's like probably Baker right now.
Yeah.
In the NFC East, it's probably Jalen Hurts, and it's like a steep fall off, Dak, and then steep fall off. And then the NFC West, it's Stafford, but like the other ones like Geno, Purdy. I don't know. Like then in the AFC, it's like in one division you have Lamar and Burrow. And another, you've got Stroud, Richardson, like Lawrence, like all the young guns. And another, you got Tua, Rodgers, Josh Allen. You got Herbert, Mahomes, and another. It's the AFC's insane.
Yeah, just insane.
I mean, a couple other awards. Maybe we'll do the couple awards and then wrap it up. But comeback player of the year, there are actually a ton of candidates for that this year. Like, because like in general, usually comeback player of the year is like somebody coming back off an injury. I mean, you've got guys like Anthony Richardson. You got Joe Burrow, who could be up there for consideration. Aaron Rodgers could definitely be up there. Justin Herbert had a late season injury, so maybe not him. I'm trying to think of other people. Kirk Cousins coming off an injury, he could be one of them. I guess technically Daniel Jones, even though he should have no chance of winning it, he's technically eligible. Kyler Murray, I guess. I mean, he did play a decent amount last year, so maybe not. I'd say like the top guys that come to mind for me though would be like Kirk, Aaron Rodgers, AR, Joe Burrow. Probably like the top guys. I'm just going to be biased and give it to AR. I think he played really well, and I think actually no, I think AR should win it, but I think Rodgers will probably end up winning it.
When I thought about it, I think about Rodgers.
Yeah, I think they'll end up giving it to Rodgers.
I was thinking Rodgers and my boy Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, Kirk's definitely up there for it too. I think Rodgers has like the best story because he like literally got hurt on like one of the first few plays of the year, so he like missed the entire year. Whereas like AR, he played a few games. Kirk, he played like 7-8 games last year. So like those guys played. Like Rodgers like basically missed the whole year. He's 40, coming off an Achilles, so it's like the storyline is like the best for Rodgers probably.
Yeah.
Offensive Rookie of the Year, Brock, most likely going to be one of the quarterbacks. Probably like Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, one of those guys. Despite not having the best week one, I'm going to go Caleb because I think people are going to focus on the teams a bit. And I do think the Bears are going to be the best of the rookie quarterback teams. I think the Bears will find themselves in the hunt. Obviously, like Caleb Williams did not play well in week one, but I think he is going to pick it up. I'm going to give him the Offensive Rookie of the Year. I feel like with how much hype he has behind him, too, they probably want to give it to him. Yeah. Obviously, that doesn't look great after week one, but I still think he probably comes out with it. Like, there's a world, too, where like maybe none of the rookie quarterbacks have great seasons. Maybe Marvin Harrison Jr. picks it up as a really big year. Maybe there's a world where he wins it or something.
Yeah. I think, man. I mean, if they're decent enough, but I was thinking Jaden Daniels if they're decent enough, but I just don't think they're gonna be that good at all.
Yeah, but sometimes it doesn't matter. For Rookie of the Year, it doesn't matter as much.
Yeah, I do think he'll put up a lot of rushing yards definitely this year.
Yeah.
Screw it. I'll go Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I don't hate that pick at all. Especially if he puts up a lot of rushing numbers, he could definitely win it. That's definitely not far fetched at all.
Yep.
In terms of Offensive Rookie of the Year, right now I'm looking at like odds across all sports, but Caleb Williams is the odds-on favorite, and then Jaden Daniels is following close behind that. It's a pretty big gap to Marv next, and then Neighbors, and then Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy is a sneaky shout, and all the other guys play well.
Yeah.
In terms of Defensive Rookie of the Year, the odds-on favorite to open the year was Laiatu Latu, the rookie for the Colts.
What a name.
Yeah. Currently, it looks like Dallas Turner, who I believe went to the Vikings.
Yep.
He is basically him and Latu on the odds I'm looking at right now are pretty much tied. And there's a small gap. Jared Verse, Quinyon Mitchell, who looked really good for the Eagles, it's a big jump. It's like Turner and Latu are pretty much tied. There's a little gap where Jared Verse is third in odds, and then it's a big jump, like odds double to Quinyon Mitchell. So they're basically thinking like Turner, Latu, or Verse, which makes sense because those are all guys that are pass rushers. So like when you look at a stat sheet, like corner stats never stick out that much because they usually don't get that many tackles. Like you usually don't get that many picks. You just have like some passes defended. So like on a stat sheet, it doesn't look as good usually for a corner. Whereas like if you're able to look at like a guy like Dallas Turner or Latu, if like one of them finishes with double-digit sacks, it's like it sticks out a lot more when you see a guy like, oh, he had 12 sacks last year or something.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with Latu here just because I think he is gonna lead rookies in sacks in my opinion, but I think it's probably him or Dallas Turner.
I'll go with you. I'll go Latu as well.
And then that leaves us, Brock, with MVP. I have a solid pick that I think like I don't think there's a world where Lamar wins. It's so hard, to win back to back. I don't think they'll want to give it to him again because as much as you don't want to say like there's some media bias in terms of who gets the MVP.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen deserved the MVP last year. I think if I'm not mistaken, he accounted for the most touchdowns between throwing and running in the entire NFL last year. His team was like 5-6 or whatever, and he led them on 5 or 6 straight wins to end the year and win the division. In the last week over the Dolphins, he accounted for the most touchdowns. He did have a pretty high number of interceptions and turnovers, I think, last year, but I thought he was the clear MVP. I still can't believe that Lamar won it over him, and that I don't even think Josh Allen finished second. Like I thought Josh Allen was definitely the MVP. Obviously, there are guys like, if the Texans have a really good year and Stroud is good, he's definitely a candidate for it. I'd say, like, if you believe the Jets are really good, you could maybe talk Rodgers. Mahomes is obviously always in the conversation.
Yep.
It's really all the quarterbacks because that's the only people that win MVP. Maybe if the Lions get the 1 seed and go crazy, who knows? Maybe Jared Goff. Packers go crazy. Love. It's like all these teams, if they go crazy, win a bunch of games, the quarterback's always the guy to look at. Tua, he puts up pretty good counting numbers if the Dolphins end up being really good. But I'm going to go with Josh Allen. I think the Bills are going to be pretty good this year, and I think people are going to realize, with the downgrade in weapons for him losing Stephon Diggs, if he still puts up these crazy numbers, I think people are going to finally respect him. I think he wins his first MVP this year.
Oh man, you kind of read my mind here, to be honest.
You think even with you having them finishing third?
Yeah, I think he still gets like 10 wins. And I think that'll be enough because he's in a rush for a lot of touchdowns and yards and throwing both combined.
Yep. I mean, he's probably going to rush for 10 plus touchdowns and throw 35 plus. Like, he's going to account for 40 something touchdowns this year, probably, and like probably 5,000 total yards or 4,000 something total yards.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I was gonna say Dak Prescott winning MVP and then getting first rounded in the playoffs. That'd make my day even more.
I mean, Dak puts up numbers. I mean, last year, I'm pretty sure Dak led the NFL in passing touchdowns last year. Not total, but passing touchdowns. I think he was number one.
Yeah, he was by like a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, I think he was leader. Dak always puts up really good regular season numbers, and then they lose right away in the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah. Then I guess the last thing, Brock. Early season, who you got winning the Super Bowl?
I got a team.
You got one team, you said?
I got the Lions winning it all.
Okay. I think last year I picked the Chiefs.
I just want to see the Lions win it all.
I mean, like, real Super Bowl contenders, like, I looked on the list as, like, I think the Ravens. I don't think the Texans can win the Super Bowl. I think the Ravens. I can see the Bills. I like the Chiefs. I think the Lions can get it done. Maybe the Niners. It's a pretty short list of Super Bowl teams. I'm going to say the Chiefs get it done again. I really think last year the Chiefs had the worst roster I think they've had in their 3 Super Bowl wins last year, and they still got it done. And I think they made a lot. Like, the Chiefs are the defending champs, and I think they made a lot of upgrades.
Yep, I agree.
Like, Xavier Worthy adding that speed on the outside. I think when Hollywood Brown comes back, he's going to add even more speed and another good receiver. Rashee Rice looks good, although should he be playing? I don't know about that. Travis Kelce, I think he'll be Travis Kelce per usual. I think Pacheco could be pretty good. I think Samaje Perine could be good receiving out of the backfield for them. Their defense should be good again. Like, I think the Chiefs won the Super Bowl and got significantly better in the offseason, which doesn't happen often. Usually, like, a lot of your players that are free agents end up getting paid to go to other teams. Like, they get a good payday because they're, a defending Super Bowl champ. So not a lot of times does your roster seem to clearly improve, post Super Bowl win. But I think the Chiefs roster greatly improved. So I like the Chiefs to go back to back, as boring of a pick as that is.
It's not a bad pick, though. Definitely not. Got the best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah. I like him to get it done. You got anything else, though, before we wrap this one up?
No, just kind of, waiting for this Call of Duty Black Ops 6 to come out.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy doing, the little previews going into the season. They're always really fun. Really fun. It's tough because, I would say I'd love to do an NBA one. Definitely, we can't do an MLB one because I lightly follow the MLB. Mostly the Brewers. You don't follow the MLB at all, so we definitely can't do that.
Yeah, I do not follow.
We would need Kyle for that one. He would just basically be talking to himself the whole time because he's the big MLB guy. I mean, I follow the Brewers, lightly, and that's about it. And you don't follow it all. And then NBA, it's like both of us definitely follow more NBA than baseball. But for me, for NBA, it's like I used to really, really follow all NBA, but for me now I'm mostly just Bucks. I enjoy the NBA, I like watching the playoffs, but in terms of knowing a lot about the other teams, it's pretty limited to NFL for me. I love the NFL, and I love playing. We have a dynasty fantasy football league. I love fantasy football. I like doing best ball drafts. I'm pretty invested in all teams. And I have a pretty good knowledge base about most teams' rosters and what they're looking like. That's definitely the sport that I follow the closest. Where basketball, I follow the Bucks very heavily, and I love the Bucks. But in terms of the rest of the league, I don't follow it as much anymore. As I'm pretty much all in on NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which I think is the way that you probably are mostly too. I think you probably follow the NFL closest of any of the sports.
Yeah. I just kind of follow players I like in the NBA.
Yeah, I love watching the NBA. I love watching the playoffs, but the NFL is just the perfect product to keep you interested at all times because the NBA, I mean, when you're sitting in game 35 it can get kind of boring. Like I never thought I'd say it because I used to watch literally every Bucks game when they weren't as good and they were fighting for the playoffs. Because as weird as it is, it's more exciting to watch the NBA regular season when you have like a mid team that's like fighting for the playoffs. It's like, can they get to 41 wins? You know, can they sneak into the playoffs? It's more exciting when like it's like a grind. But like now it's like I love watching the Bucks games and watching like the big regular season games. But at some point, it's like the way the NBA works. Like unless like you have injuries, like a team with Giannis, you know they're making the playoffs as a top 4 seed, like the Bucks do every year.
Yep.
Like unless they have injuries, you literally know. Where like in the NFL, you can have an amazing team on paper and just like don't get it done. Like there are amazing teams in the NFL on paper that just don't make the playoffs every year. Whereas like in basketball, if you have that amazing team on paper, unless something goes like catastrophically wrong injury wise, you're in the playoffs. Like it's like LeBron every year. You have that good of a player, you know you're guaranteed in the playoffs unless you have injuries. Same thing with Giannis. So like it's harder for me to get into the NBA. And just like with the way the NFL is structured, every game means so much. The regular season is just so entertaining because like losses are absolutely crushing and wins are absolutely huge. Where like in the NBA, if you go on like a 3-game skid, who cares? You know, you'll make it up if you're a good team. If you go on a 3-game skid in the NFL, it's like you could be costing yourself your season.
Yep.
So I hope you guys enjoy this one, though. We love doing the NFL preview. I mean, if you guys are NFL fans, tell us who your team is down below. If you say you're like a Giants or a Panthers fan, I'm so sorry. Somebody's gonna say they're a Chiefs fan or something like that, some BS. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. We'll see you next week with something COD related. I don't know exactly what yet, but we'll see you with something COD related next week. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.